if you look at all these religions and these different cultural beliefs, they all have the concept of an unseen force. Well, virtually everything is unseen to humans, the reasons I've said, that's manipulating human society for very negative reasons. Christianity talks about the devil or Satan, the demons, and Islam talks about shaitan and iblis and the jinn, and Gnostics talk about the Yoda Baoth and the demiurge and archons, which is Greek for rulers. And so it goes on around the world. And this is the common theme, that this non-human hidden force, hidden because it's outside of visible light, is manipulating human society. And that started to explain a lot of things. For instance, in the 1990s, when I was researching this cult network and the people involved, it was clear and bewildering to start with that these key players, famous people, are taking part in satanic ritual. I mean, human sacrifice ritual, the whole shebang. And the question obviously was, why? What's happening? And then you follow it back and you see that these ancient cultures, in the days when it was acceptable, were openly doing human sacrifices to what they perceived to be the gods. And then you look around the world and you see people talk about the Greek pantheon of gods, but actually there's pantheons of gods all over the place. And what I started to realize is that this pantheon of gods under different names in different cultures is actually the same, quote, gods, but they're not actually gods. They're these non-human, highly malevolent entities. And so then it kind of became obvious that the sacrificial rituals were being done, as the ancients talked about, as an offering to the gods. And you then say, well, okay, so what do the gods get out of this then? What do the gods get out of a human sacrifice? And then you also realize that the, quote, gods that these rich and famous billionaires and cultists are doing human sacrifice to now are the same gods the ancients were, because they're these astral entities that are manipulating our society from the hidden. And so why would they do this? What's the point? And, again, you have to put so many dots together to see the picture. And I started to realize from multiple different sources that these entities actually feed off low vibrational human emotion and mental states around the basic state of fear and anxiety and resentment and conflict and hatred, all these things, all these low vibrational emotions. They feed off it. It's their sustenance. When the Morpheus character in The Matrix held up a battery and said, the Matrix is a computer-generated dream world designed to turn humans into one of these, a battery, that was a profound truth, actually, that he was describing in an apparently fictional movie. A lot of the Matrix movie was true in theme. And so I then came across, after I kind of established this to my satisfaction, the work of a guy called Robert Monroe. And he popularized out-of-body experiences. Now, there's a near-death experience. Millions of people have had them now. And that's when the body dies and your consciousness is released into another reality. And very, very common themes, the way that these people describe their experience before the body was revived and they returned. An out-of-body experience is when you can project your consciousness into this astral realm while still being in the body, while the body's still alive. And Robert Monroe kind of perfected this and became very skilled at it, to the point where the CIA got involved. And they started a project they called Gateway. based around Robert Monroe, and they brought in other people that had a skill to project their consciousness into the astral. And they did this study, gateway study, to compile their experiences and try to get a fix on what was going on. And they saw, these people in the Gateway Project, so many reptilian entities in the astral, outside of human sight, that they gave them the name in the Gateway Project of the alligators. And this information has come from military people that were involved in the Gateway Project. And what Monroe said he learned in these astral projections, and he had endless numbers of them, is that these entities were in the astral feeding off low vibrational human emotion. And that's why they are manipulating the world to generate that energetic sustenance source. They're not interested in a world of love and joy and happiness and peace, because that doesn't generate that frequency, which they have to, it has to be that so that they can absorb it because of the frequency they're on. Then I started to realize what this sacrificial ritual was all about. It was, and what the gift and offering to the gods was. And I've talked to Satanists and former Satanists and people who were in those rituals against their will, all over the world, who have described how during the ritual, the sacrifice is built up and built up and built up in terms of reaction to levels of absolute terror, which is an immensely powerful low vibrational energy. And this is what these, quote, gods who are in the astral around the ritual are feeding off. They're feeding off the terror of the victim. And that's the gift of the gods. And when you reach that level of terror, an adrenaline is released into the blood. And that's what the Satanists conducting the ritual in our reality actually drink. This is the old adrenochrome story that's come to light, not least out of Washington over the years. So then you ask the next question, which is, how does it all work? How is this whole thing orchestrated? What is this reality then? And from just after the turn of the millennium, I got this really strong, beyond feeling, it was a knowing that the reality we're experiencing is a simulation. It's the immensely advanced version of a virtual reality game. And in those days, I looked around trying to see if there's anyone else around that was coming to that conclusion. And the only person I came across in the public arena was a guy called Professor Nick Bostrom at Oxford University, who had a bit of media coverage for his view that this could be a simulation. But in the years since, and I started writing and talking about it then, the early part of just after the millennium. And then since then, from about 2016, 17 onwards, more and more mainstream scientists have concluded that this looks like it is a simulation. And when you go down the simulation route, so much of what we call scientific mysteries, the mysteries of reality, fall apart, fall on the floor, because the simulation explanation explains them. And I said it just after the turn of the millennium that this is a simulation, and this level of it, anyway, its limit is the speed of light. That's why the speed of light appears to be the fastest speed when it's not at all. And in 2021, April 2021, there was an article in Scientific American by an academic who said he believed that this is a simulation, and the limit of the simulation is the speed of light. And he likened the speed of light to processing speed. It's a limit the processing speed of the simulation. He doesn't say this, but I say this, at this level, other levels of it. And so the other thing that I was saying, just after the millennium, was that the laws of physics, what we call the laws of physics, are actually the codes of the simulation. So if you're creating a virtual reality game, you encode it to provide the rules of the game, the laws of the game, and the limits of the game, what's possible and what isn't possible. And we call them, in this simulation, the laws of physics. And this academic and this Scientific American article have come to the same conclusion. So really does, when you put it together, put into sharp focus that Morpheus statement. This is a computer-generated dream world designed to turn humans into one of these. And so in this manipulated, simulated reality, it's manipulated to produce the maximum amount of low vibrational energy, which Robert Monroe gave the term to loosh, low vibrational energy. He called it loosh, with being looshed. And he was absolutely right, in my view, after looking at this in great detail over so many years.
Yeah, and it's amazing. I've read all of Robert Monroe's books. As a matter of fact, I have the book here, Astral Dynamics by Robert Bruce, which is another guide on how to do those. I was having out-of-body experiences at a fairly young age. I had no idea, obviously, what it was. Clearly, in society, much like you're saying, it's not built to help you understand the nature of reality. So it's not like I could go to school.
It's the opposite, isn't it? It's designed to stop you realizing the nature of reality.
Exactly. So I didn't have any way. So it took years before I even had an idea of what was going on. And it's actually incredible. I know we don't have enough time to get into obviously the rest of my questions, but we've had on even the name Tom Campbell. Have you heard of Tom Campbell before?
Yeah, vaguely. Yeah.
He went to go study with Robert Monroe. Tom is still around doing talks, and his magnum opus is a book called My Big Toe. It's a theory on reality, which goes into trying to explain to everyone exactly what you just said, essentially, and he is a physicist, and that's what he does. And he had the experiences there with Robert Monroe, and he's got all the things. I haven't had the chance yet to discuss with him exactly what his conclusions are on what the Gateway program came out of, but he was a part of it. He was a part of that at that time and doing all those things, and then branched off to do his own. But with the second that we have left, which is this last couple minutes, I have just one quick question, which you can just throw out there. And I know you may not be able to get into it in depth, but I have a weird inclination that maybe you could confirm for me. I found it weird, and I don't know clearly either of these people in depth. It's just a superficial look. But when I look at somebody like Leonardo DiCaprio, Ghislaine Maxwell, and there are a few others that do these events for like climate change, they end up at the UN, they end up doing these discussions on things. And for some reason, maybe I'm just cynical, but I feel like they don't really give a shit about the climate, or that they don't really give a shit about, the people that they're there. They just seem like these people. And I'm so curious as to why that is, that they have to. Are they controlled that they have to make these speeches? Do they want to do it, or?
Well, there's many levels to it. One is that, if you want the support so that you have this out there vastly remunerative career, then you go down that road. But, we shouldn't also, from my experience over the years, rule out how many people in the public eye who are pushing the agenda are actually involved in this cult, and knowingly so. You see, I talked earlier about the woke mentality, and of course the woke mentality has brought hook, line, and the other thing, human-caused climate change, and we're all going to die. Well, actually, from the climate, no, we're not. But then you've got the other side of it, the Trump side, if you like, supporters, who have seen through it. So you have to somehow again, like with the AI, you have to somehow pull them in with a soft sell. And if you look at Elon Musk, for instance, his statements over the years have very much been in line with the agenda of human-caused climate change. He says he wants a carbon tax, which is right off the pages of the World Economic Forum wish list, the cult wish list, in other words, of which the World Economic Forum is an agency, an asset. And you look at Tesla, I mean, the whole electric car thing is all justified by human-caused climate change being real. And the whole hoax of human-caused climate change, where you turn a gas of life, carbon dioxide, without which we'd all be dead, there'd be no natural world, there'd be no food supply, you turn that into a pollutant, the perception of a pollutant, and you demonize it. It's utterly ridiculous. The carbon dioxide levels have been vastly higher in the past, and we still somehow survived. And indeed, those periods of carbon dioxide expansion were very times that people flourished. It's the cold times where, there's mass die-offs. And so they've demonized it. And they've demonized it because of a technique that I coined the phrase in the 1990s, problem, reaction, solution, where you create a problem, blame someone else for it, get the public to react in a way that says, do something about the problem. And then you openly offer the solutions to the problems you have covertly created and blame someone else. But there's also another version of that, which I call no problem reaction solution, where you don't need a real problem, you just need the perception of one. Now, of course, weapons of mass destruction in Iraq in 2003 was a classic no problem reaction solution, because they weren't there, but the perception was that they were there, and so they justify a catastrophic invasion. And human-caused climate change is a no problem reaction solution. And the funding for those that push it in science and academia is absolutely off the wall. It's fantastic. And if you push against it, well, you lose funding, and your academic career and scientific career can be in trouble. So it's all orchestrated, not least through the funding. But it's real simple, the way the whole scam is played. And of course, people like DiCaprio, they fly in their private jets to climate change conferences. I mean, he's taking the piss, basically. And of course, they know it's not true. Gates and all these people know it's not true, but it's what the outcome is of people believing it's true. And so they have this net zero. Okay, well, that's pretty much all they have to do is set net zero and a year when that's going to be achieved, or they say it's going to be achieved. Why? Because the whole foundation of industrial society and the societies around it, particularly the Western world, but increasingly other parts of the world as well, is based on fossil fuels. Fossil fuels is how this industrial society emerged, what made it possible. So if your goal is to completely transform and dismantle global society as we know it, so you can reform it, reset it in the way that you want, then all you have to do is set the target of net zero. And as governments and agencies and corporations go towards that net zero target, to reach it, the foundation of modern society, fossil fuels, has to be more and more and more eliminated. And as a result of that, society is transformed. It has to be, because it's founded on fossil fuel use. And so when you look, for instance, at because it's all a scam. It's all a bloody lie. When you look at electric cars, we're going to bring in legislation. They are doing it so that the production of diesel and petrol cars stops to be replaced by electric cars. Well, that's not to do with replacing petrol, diesel with electric. It's to do with eliminating the access to a car for the vast, overwhelming majority of the global population, because there's simply not the resources to produce electric cars, not least through the batteries. People are now seeing who bought electric cars, they have no resale value for a start, or very little, because once the battery's gone, it's a fantastic amount of money to replace it. It's like buying another car. So then you connect that into this other agenda of what they call 15-minute cities or 15-minute communities. And they're being created all around the world, where they say that everything you need, in their view, will be within a 15-minute walk or cycle ride from your home. And they're putting cameras up all over the place. Like in London, they've got a thing called ULEZ, which is the ultra low emission zone, which is the entirety of London now. And so they're putting cameras, number plate cameras, all over London to catch people who have a car that doesn't emit, in terms of exhaust, the ultra low emission criteria. And if you get caught on the camera, or even leaving your home in the morning with that kind of vehicle, will mean that you have to pay £12.50 a day every time you use your car that's not compliant with this ULEZ criteria. And of course, it's driving people out of their vehicles. It's driving people out of business who can't afford to replace their van with a more modern one. And so these cameras for the ULEZ zone of fines are actually really there longer term, not too long either, to police the 15-minute cities, where if you leave your 15-minute area so many times, then you get fined. That's the idea. And eventually you don't leave them at all. It's just a stepping stone towards that. And that's why there's a war on movement. There's a war on plane travel. There's a war on vehicle use, because they don't want people to be able to move and travel. They want them locked away in these little zones of control. And the only way they can communicate with their fellow humans further afield is through the internet. And they have a kill switch to turn that off whenever they want. So this human-caused climate change hoax fits that perfectly, because they're saying that if we don't go down that road, and of course the woke side of politics is all in favor of it, because it's brought human-caused climate change without question, that would mean that you'd basically be in a situation portrayed in the Hunger Games movies. In fact, I call this society, I have since those movies came out, the Hunger Games Society. Because if you remember, in the Hunger Games, people were fenced off in sectors and they couldn't communicate with the other sectors. And that's what the 15-minute cities is all about. And so in the end, it all connects. And another fundamental part of this whole digital dystopia is the digital currency, which they are bringing in. It's getting closer all the time, and it's indeed it's being introduced in places already, whereby all finance is digital, and this means that they have complete control of your life, because through a digital currency, if you say left the 15-minute city and passed one of these number plate cameras, and you were sent a fine. Well, if enough people got together, hallelujah, sometime, I hope, and refused to pay the fine, then it would be unenforceable. But through the digital system, as they do in China now, they'll be able to take the fine out of your bank account within seconds of you passing the camera. And so refusing to pay the fine becomes not an option. And the idea is that you are fined for doing anything that is outside of the dystopian imposition, to the point where if you don't conform, you ain't going to have any money left to put food on the table. And so I've said over the years, going way back, if you want to see what's planned for the West tomorrow, look at China today. And see, my view is that the Mao revolution in China was a cult revolution. And it was designed to create a closed society of total top-down control that would mean that a system of total human mass control could be incubated and developed behind that wall of control. And that eventually, when it was perfected to a certain level, goes on being perfected as we speak, then it will be played out across the world. And if you look at what happened after COVID, which was not true, but the irony is obvious, said to have come out of China, then what has happened to the West since then? It's become more and more like China. And we're going into that more and more as we speak, because in Britain, we've just had a government change where someone has come in with what's called the Labour Party, the Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who is cult to his DNA, by the way. And I said before he came in, this is what he's going to do. And he's playing out this cult World Economic Forum agenda on steroids from the moment he took office. And this is what they plan to impose on Britain. And one of the things that, one of the kind of platforms of their policy, a policy that has been supported in the last election in July only by 34% of the population, that's all who voted for these people, is to have a dramatic reduction in fossil fuel use and to cover the seascape and the landscape with solar farms of thousands of acres of farmland covered in solar panels and wind turbines. And something you said earlier about they don't seem to give a damn about climate change, even though they're talking about it. When you break down even the use of fossil fuels and the environmental impact of a solar panel or a wind turbine or an electric car, it's catastrophic. It's massive because it's not about the environment. That's the scam. That's the excuse. It's about dystopia. And that's why this has been played out, not least out of the Club of Rome, that cusp organization I talked about earlier.
Absolutely insane, troubling to say the least. And hopefully in our next interview, we'll get into more of the solution, at least on our aspect.
Yeah, I'd love to do that because the solutions are there. They're not there. This is why I'm saying it's bigger than you're focusing on mainstream alternative media. But there, the answers do lie. And it'd be great to talk to you again about that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, obviously everybody should know where to find stuff from you, but where would you like us to send people who are interested in more?
Well, they can get my books at davidicke.com. And also, of course, davidicke.com, I post news stories in context of what they really mean, as opposed to what we're told they mean. every day. We also have a media platform called Iconic, which is basically an alternative version of Netflix, if you like. And it's got the whole spectrum of information from the news of the week and in context again. I do a show every week called Documenter. And also the much bigger picture of reality. We do full-length feature films on that, which I've taken part in many of them myself. And so it's a real brilliant, it's a brilliant platform for the whole spectrum of the information. And so my new book's called The Reveal. And the trap, the dream, and the reveal are both exposing the nature of reality that they don't want us to know, but also, again, looking at the way we can change this if only we realize what reality is, and crucially, who we really are, because it's not the body. And I tell you, just before we finish too, if people would go deeply into this whole arena of who we really are, which is consciousness, having a human experience, then in things like sport and things like football, the performance quality could go through the roof if people realized how our perceptions create reality, and really kind of played that out as a being rather than just a concept. Because when a football team is 2-0 down and playing terribly and getting battered, and then you see them get a lucky strike and they make it 2-1, and then you look at the transformation in the game so often. Suddenly, the team that's been playing terribly has had a change of perception. Hey, we might have a chance here. And the confidence, what is confidence? It's a perception. And the confidence increases, and they go on to be a completely different team, having just got a goal against the run of play. And you get other teams who they say they're so lucky, they always get late goals. Well, why do they get late goals and other people not get late goals? Because their perception is different. And this whole perception of reality becoming experienced reality would be a real boon to athletic performance in many and various ways. I was actually asked, nothing's come of it yet, but I was actually asked by a professional football club in Britain if I would be interested in talking to the staff about this sort of stuff, because it has such potential to increase athletic performance through complete transformation of perception of what is possible and what you're capable of.
And I have a entire channel based on all of that, where I would love to. Yeah. So we'll end this here, since I know, I want to be respectful of your time, but without a doubt, there's a whole field and world that I know of people that can benefit from this solution from within sport, within all those things. So I would love to do it.
It'd be great to come on your football channel and talk about it.
Absolutely. Would love it. David, once again, really appreciate it. Guys, you guys know exactly where to get everything. The links will be in the description, or if you're just listening to this, they are in the show notes. And David, thanks again.
Cheers, mate. All the best. Lovely to speak to you.
Okay, my people. I want to talk about this out of body thing, and heal up David Icke again for bringing across this man, Robert Monroe. I didn't know of him, people. Didn't know of him till I saw this video and I was editing, and yeah, I said Robert Monroe, but I swear I saw a commenter on this channel texted that name before, Robert Monroe. I'm sure, but regardless, he's a great man. He's a pioneer indeed. But this whole out of body experience, people, I remember when like regular was happening to me almost twice a week, every week, and I was wondering. I even asked some of my friends, and everyone looked at me weird because I didn't even know about this out of body, that whole that's a phrase or even sentence, but out of body, that phrase alone, I didn't know of it. But all I know is when I was sleeping, it's like I literally can see myself on the bed, and I don't even know if you say it. It's like a duplicate of me. Another me is over and seeing myself on the bed. And it's kind of weird, and I was wondering, people. And those times I'm telling the people, I was like, I was at a high level of consciousness. High, people. High level of consciousness. Very, very, very deep, people. I was basically a leader, people. Enough youths, enough of my friends in the community. I was, showing them certain reasoning, certain consciousness, certain level, certain ways to think, and certain things where we get to, I show them, hey, these things don't make sense, these things are foolishness. Some agree, some don't agree, some look at me weird, but this body experience thing, it's like I was the only one who had that experience. And I'm supposed to, if my memory serves me right, because those I was talking to people, I was like just left high school, 17-year-old, 17, 18, 19. Those were my heights of consciousness. Even though before that, I didn't believe in this God theory and the way they bring this God thing and this creator. I just didn't find it believable. So I was on that path, people, a long time before I even know David, Monroe. You know what? I was having this, and one of my brethren is supposed to say, yeah, he kind of hear of it or you know of it or something. But most people, they all look at me weird, but it just fascinated people that this guy, Robert Monroe, was a pioneer, and we didn't even know about that, people. As David said, these level of consciousness, they hid it from us. They're even hiding it in the present day. That's why I'm here, people. That's why I'm here. Because these are the information we need. Very imperative, people. In this time, in this age of deception. All these different psyops and deception playing out around us, people. But these are the real level. These are the things we should focus on, people. Because, like, how is that even possible? Like, you come out of your body and you see your body lying up on the bed. And sometimes I even wake myself, people. And it's like, I don't know. I'm trying myself, hey, I'm going to try stay and travel someplace. And it's like, I'm always in a sense of fear. And it's like, I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave my body too far, people. If that makes sense. People, I hope people listen. I know majority of people them are there with a come to listen, but I just hope some people listen this section and can give me. Do they have that experience though? And what they do? Are they scared like me and like afraid to leave your body because you might feel say you can't go back in? Hey, it's a weird feeling, people. It's a weird feeling. It's a weird feeling. Good way I know me not have it, but anytime like me go back home, because something there right now, people are a different location from my original home. But every time, but when I come original home, I have that experience again. I don't know if it's the peace, the calm. It's like, because I dare me grow up from me, I'm 4-year-old, I live at that place. So, I don't know, people, something about that place. This is my consciousness has started, people, and yeah. So, tell me an experience, people. But, yeah, look, man, I feel I liked him. and me did have to talk along. Most people might not hear me, but yeah, people want to hear me, so it's balance. I'm just doing a balancing act right now, but people chime in. What are you guys scared like me? Don't want to leave your body too far, or give me some tips, give me some pointers. Yeah, people, because this is this at this level. I mean, it's like we can listen to David, people. We can listen to David, and don't think him crazy or even have a shadow or doubt in my mind. Say this man, as well them love ridicule. Because people call me mad, people call me crazy, people call me psychotic. You're mad, you're a madman. Cause you grow your hair and you just try to live natural and avoid certain levity. They say you're mad, you're crazy. Because you were not programmed to be like that. But somehow you break the chains and free yourself, free your mind. So they say you're mad. So we're at this point, people. So tell me, give me some pointers. I don't want to joke this too much because a lot of information by David. So I don't really I want to make this about me, but just give me some pointers, people. Love, more strength, more power. We continue. Never give up, never stop. Fight goes on.